欢迎收看今天的汉天新闻，我是赵子彤。首先来看国际方面的消息。英国前外交大臣、伦敦前市长鲍里斯·约翰逊23日当选执政党保守党党魁。在经过英女王批准后，他将接替此前宣布辞职的特蕾莎·梅，成为英国新首相。当地时间23日，约翰逊进行了演讲，对于未来英国的发展方向和脱欧问题都发表了态度。
And therefore I give notice that Boris Johnson is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party.
Thank you, Cyril. Thank you, Charles. Thank you very much, Brandon, for a fantastically well-organised campaign. I think it did a lot of credit, as Brandon has just said, to our party, to our values, and to our ideals. But I want to begin by thanking my opponent, Jeremy. By common consent, an absolutely formidable campaigner and a great leader and a great politician. Jeremy, in the course of 20 hustings, 20 hustings or husting-style events, it was more than 3,000 miles, by the way, it was about 7,000 miles that we did crisscrossing the country. You've been friendly, you've been good-natured, you've been a font of excellent ideas, all of which I propose to steal forthwith. And above all, I want to thank our outgoing leader, Theresa May, for her extraordinary service to this party and to this country. It was a privilege.
伊朗情报部门当地时间22日在外国媒体记者会上宣布，他们抓获了17名美国中央情报局的间谍，他们均为伊朗人，曾是伊朗一些敏感重要私人机构的员工。其中一部分人员已经被判处死刑。随后，美国总统川普和国务卿蓬佩奥都表示，这完全是伊朗政府的造谣。
17 suspects accused of being CIA spies arrested in Iran, all of them Iranian citizens. Iran claims all of them have confessed and that some suspects will be executed, according to Iran's Ministry of Intelligence.
He said the suspects were operating in key organizations and institutions, mainly in the private sector. He said the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency had used the cyberspace to recruit the individuals.
President Trump is calling Iran's bluff, tweeting in response, quote, "Zero truth, just more lies and propaganda like their shot-down drone, put out by a religious regime that is badly failing and has no idea what to do." Tensions between Iran and longtime American ally Great Britain also heating up, with a lack of progress on Iran's seizure of a British oil tanker and its crew in their custody.
If Iran continues on this dangerous path, they must accept the price will be a larger Western military presence in the waters along their coastlines.
Frankly, it's getting harder for me to want to make a deal with Iran because they behave very badly. They're saying bad things, and I'll tell you, it could go either way, very easily, and I'm okay either way it goes.
I'm Meredith Wood reporting.
再来看美国国内消息。日前，众议院司法委员会主席表示，他认为前特别检察官穆勒的通俄门调查报告呈现了总统川普犯罪的实质证据。他将在周三众议院听证会上要求穆勒陈述这些事实，而这场听证会将通过电视信号转播给所有民众。
The cyber threat has evolved significantly over the past decade.
When Robert Mueller testifies, he's laser-focused, never saying more than he has to, never claiming to know more than he does.
Do you have any idea about the percentage of members of, let's say, MS-13, because that's in the news lately, might be here illegally?
I do not. I have to get back to you, but it's fairly well, I really have to get back to you on that.
Mueller has had to face questioning from congressional committees as far back as July 2001. At his FBI director nomination hearing, he showed a rare moment of lightheartedness when asked about FBI managers being required to take polygraph tests.
I have already taken that polygraph.
The only reason I asked that question is I knew you had, and I just think it's important. It's important for people to. Yeah, how did you do?
I'm sitting here. That's all I can say.
I'm sorry. We just hope you had a good examiner, that's all.
Mueller's testified dozens of times over the years. It's all preserved and cataloged online by C-SPAN. We reviewed more than 10 hours of it. While he is most often precise and polite, he does not like to be pushed around. That was evident in 2013 when Mueller testified about the Boston Marathon bombings.
Why did no one go to the mosque and say, who are these guys? They may attend here. Why was that not done since such a thorough job was done?
Nor does he like to be interrupted.
Your facts are not altogether well.
All right, point out specifically.
May I finish, Mike?
Point out specifically. Sir, if you're going to call me a liar, you need to point out specifically where any facts are wrong.
We went to the mosque prior to Boston.
Prior to Boston.
Prior to Boston happening, we were in that mosque talking to imams several months beforehand as part of our outreach efforts.
Were you aware that those mosques were started by Al-Moody?
I've answered the question, sir.
Even when things get heated, though, he never raises his voice. It's standard Mueller, calm and cool.
You're asking questions about details of the investigation. I'd be happy to take
that. Is not a detail about the investigation. That took place prior to the investigation started.
May I please finish? You're asking detailed questions about the investigation. I'd be happy to get back to you and answer those questions that I can.
In 2007, Mueller was pressed about a conversation he'd had with former Attorney General John Ashcroft. The topic? A controversial wiretapping program run by the National Security Agency. Mueller, as always, stood his ground, protecting private conversations.
I'm asking you to tell us what the conversation was. I don't think there's a privilege. And I don't want a conversation. I want what's in your psyche. Did you consider it yourself? That's not a conversation. That's a state of mind.
Well, to the extent that I follow through on the state of mind, then it is a conversation. I would resist getting into that conversation.
Despite his rigidness, Mueller has also shown humility, like during this 2013 exchange about surveillance and smartphones, where he admitted he hadn't prepared properly for the questioning.
It's terribly disappointing to come to this point, talk about something that is in the headlines of every newscast. I gave the questions in advance.
And they noted that I would be asked on that, I might add. So it's my fault.
Humility from a man now just hours away from what he hopes will be his last hearing on Capitol Hill. Randy Kaye, CNN, New York.
美国自治邦波多黎各的总督罗塞洛日前拒绝因为泄露出的歧视性言论下台，当地民众对此反应强烈。有媒体报道，至少10万人走上街头，参与到反抗示威游行活动中。
Hundreds of thousands bearing the elements rain or shine, filling the streets of San Juan, demanding Governor Ricardo Rosselló step aside or be impeached after hundreds of his private messages were published, some suggesting systematic corruption and abuses of power. Protesters say Rosselló is out of touch with the people of Puerto Rico, and the leaked chats were merely the tipping point.
I am fed up with a thieving government. I am fed up with corruption. I am fed up with lack of integrity.
Rosselló announced Sunday that he would not seek re-election and would step down as president of the new Progressive Party on the island, but he would not resign.
My contention is that I need to work beyond politics so that we can address some of the long-standing problems of corruption here in Puerto Rico and fix that problem.
That's not enough, says his opponents that are now calling for him to leave office now.
The crimes committed by the governor are so horrendous that it cannot wait.
Puerto Rico's Center for Investigative Journalism published nearly 900 pages of private chats showing offensive and misogynistic messages between the governor and his inner circle. That includes using homophobic slurs and suggesting violence against political opponents. The people of Puerto Rico are now eagerly waiting to see if the governor's exit will follow. and they're looking to the legislature of Puerto Rico to see if they'll take up impeachment.
This is an attack, and basically an attack on the people of Puerto Rico in general. I think what the chats revealed, it was basically the breaking point.
Even President Donald Trump today is calling for the governor's resignation, saying Rosselló mishandled the recovery from Hurricane Maria.
He's a terrible governor. I'm the best thing that ever happened to Puerto Rico.
The streets of Puerto Rico have seen demonstrations since last week, some peaceful, some turning violent. But many protesters say today feels like a new day.
Why is this, today, different from what we've seen this week?
Because it's not a matter about color or who you are or your background. It's a matter about uniting everyone, all sectors, all at once, saying for once and for all, this needs to change and will change.
一起发生在德州的连环杀人事件又有了新的进展。一名90岁老人的家人发起诉讼，称2017年在当地疗养院去世的老人可能是一起连环谋杀的第19名遇难者，而该疗养院的管理与嫌犯的关系也引发了社会各界的关注与争议。
These video clips and photos recorded 90-year-old Doris Wasserman 2 days before Christmas in 2017. She appears smiling and happy, less than an hour before it's believed she was murdered.
You see someone who is very much alive, very much engaged, walking around, having no apparent distress or health issues.
Attorney Quentin Brogdon filed a lawsuit on behalf of Wasserman's family, claiming that the elderly resident at the Tradition Prestonwood Senior Living Center was the 9th murder victim there of suspected serial killer Billy Chemirmir and his 19th overall in Dallas and Collin counties.
This company that runs the Tradition enabled, empowered, and emboldened a predator.
The lawsuit claims the Tradition promised a safe, secure living environment for Wasserman, but that Chemirmir was never questioned or stopped during the 13 months authorities and lawsuits say he wandered the complex, smothering and robbing elderly residents dressed as a healthcare worker. The Tradition's indifference to the criminal activity regularly occurring on the premises, including numerous burglaries of residents' apartments. Chemirmir repeatedly accessed the premises of the Tradition Prestonwood for over a year to murder and rob at least 9 elderly residents in broad daylight, including Doris Wasserman.
There's no way this family would have kept her here or allowed her there had they known all of the facts.
A statement from operators of the facility says in part, quote, "The deaths by an alleged serial killer in people's homes at multiple senior living communities in the DFW Metroplex is a true tragedy. The Tradition Prestonwood regards all our residents as family." Wasserman's attorney says authorities tracked Billy Chemirmir's cell phone to the Tradition Prestonwood during the hours these photos and videos were recorded. Chemirmir, who was in the U.S. illegally, remains in jail, but is yet to be charged with Wasserman's death.
南卡罗来纳警方目前正在调查一起性别转换女性遭遇谋杀的案件。当地社会活动家呼吁民众的支持，并表示这是一起明显的性别歧视犯罪，嫌犯应受到审判和谴责。
The show does much love that y'all giving my cousin. I thank y'all. To Denali's family, she was amazing, and she touched my heart, and she touched my children's heart.
Tonight, the LGBTQ community came together to remember Denali Berry Stuckey, a 29-year-old transgender woman who friends say had her whole life ahead of her.
She just was a wonderful person. Her and my daughter looked at each other as sisters, and they are so hurt that someone did this to her.
Police say they arrived on Carner Avenue early Saturday morning on what was initially reported to be a possible auto-pedestrian accident. Instead, they found Stuckey on the side of the road with a gunshot wound. And now they say they're actively investigating.
We definitely have a homicide. I think it'd be premature to label it as a hate crime. Obviously, we haven't closed the book on that or anything else.
Activists say her death marks the 12th this year for transgender women in the U.S. All of them were African American.
We predicted just a month ago that this wouldn't be the last trans black murder, but the fact that we didn't know it would be here in the Holy City is the most chilling fact of it all.
South Carolina is one of 5 states without a hate crimes law. While police search for a motive, activists say more needs to be done if it turns out that she was killed because of her gender identity.
We need those sort of protections here in South Carolina, and so we're asking people to reach out to the representatives and say we've got to make that law happen now.
休息一下，马上回来。